If you are struggling with belly fat, brain fog, like lack of focus, and feeling lethargic all the time, it might not be because you eat too much, but because you are using olive oil the wrong way. The magical liquid that Mediterranean people use every day to eat plenty of fat while still keeping a slim waist. Yet many people around the world are unknowingly ruining it just because of pouring wrong, choosing wrong, using at the wrong time. And if you drink it in a different way, with the right oil, at the right time, and with the right food combination, your body can shift into a fat-burning and self-healing state. So fast that you can feel the difference within just one day. Activating it is not magic, it's biology. Hello, welcome to the Song Yin An lesson. Glad to explore with you fresh scientific perspectives to understand your body and live healthier every day. Today we are joined by expert Ben Azadi, founder of Keto Camp, author and international speaker on metabolic health. He has spent many years working with people who are overweight, have blood sugar disorders, and metabolic syndrome. Ben is known for his simple yet extremely practical explanations of keto, intermittent fasting, and the role of good fats in reprogramming the body. That is why what he shares about olive oil is not just online tips, but based on research, clinical experience, and his own daily practice. In today's lesson, you will understand why olive oil is not just something to drizzle on salad, but actually a powerful metabolic medicine. It can help reduce visceral fat, lower insulin, regulate cortisol, reduce inflammation, and protect the brain. You will also learn about common mistakes. Those mistakes turn your bottle of olive oil from a miracle remedy into an oil that causes weight gain and inflammation. And most importantly, how to choose, how to drink, and how to use it so it truly unleashes its power. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to accompany the daily life lesson so you don't miss small lessons that can change your lifelong health. Ben calls olive oil precisely extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed. It is a form of natural metabolic medicine. Olive oil contains many monounsaturated fats. Prominent are oleic acid and a group of powerful antioxidants called polyphenols. Human studies show that olive oil can activate a gene called PPAR-alpha. This gene can be understood as a fat-burning switch inside the cells. When this switch is turned on, the body increases fat oxidation. That means burning fat for energy and increasing ketone production. It also improves the activity of mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside cells, and helps lower blood triglycerides. If we compare the body to a city, PPAR-alpha is like an intelligent energy management system. It prioritizes using fat as fuel and limits fat storage in the liver and around internal organs. It is no coincidence that people talk about the Mediterranean paradox. Eating a lot of fat, but rates of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity are lower. Many studies on the Mediterranean diet with olive oil demonstrate this. It is associated with reduced risk of heart disease, improved blood sugar, blood lipids, and waist circumference. But the story is not just about good fats. If your goal is to reduce belly fat, especially visceral fat around the liver, heart, and pancreas is the most dangerous kind of fat. Then the number one enemy is the hormone insulin. You can imagine insulin as a guard standing in front of the fat store. When insulin is high, this guard keeps the door closed, not allowing the store to open. You can only put more in but not take any out. To open it and burn fat, insulin must come down. Extra virgin olive oil helps make this happen in a very interesting way. A clinical study in the journal Diabetes Care and subsequent studies showed an interesting result. When adding extra virgin olive oil to a high-carb meal, post-meal blood sugar and insulin were both lower than when not using olive oil, partly thanks to increasing the hormone GLP-1. This gut hormone helps the body process sugar better and slows down the rate at which the stomach empties food into the intestine. Simply put, olive oil is like adding a few speed bumps on the path that glucose takes into the blood. Sugar is absorbed more slowly, with fewer blood sugar spikes, so the body doesn't need to release too much insulin. The result is less fat storage, fewer subsequent blood sugar dips, and reduced cravings for snacks. For Vietnamese people, where meals often revolve around white rice, vermicelli, pho, and bread, adding the right kind of good fat can subtly change the entire curve. The post-meal blood sugar curve that you don't even notice. And then there's cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol belly is no joke. Visceral fat around the abdomen has twice the density of cortisol receptors compared to many other areas of the body. So every time you have prolonged stress, lack of sleep, and anxiety, your belly almost becomes a fat magnet. Chronic high cortisol not only pulls fat to the belly but also disrupts sleep, causing you to wake up in the middle of the night with a racing heart, your mind still spinning with work matters. The polyphenols in olive oil, especially those with high polyphenol content, have been noted in scientific reviews to be able to regulate the HPA axis, the communication axis between the hypothalamus and pituitary gland in the brain and the adrenal glands below. This helps the body respond to stress more balancedly, reducing excessive cortisol production. You can imagine the HPA axis as a hotline between the switchboard in the brain and the hormone production factory in the adrenal glands. When the hotline is jammed, the body can release cortisol at the wrong time and with the wrong intensity. Good fats and polyphenols in the right dosage are like a technician coming to adjust the line. The signal will be clear, the body will have fewer false alarms, and the belly will also accumulate less fat from stress. Of course, olive oil cannot replace the need to get enough sleep and manage stress well, but it is an important piece in that picture. Another piece is inflammation. Acute inflammation is like a sprained ankle, swelling and redness after a collision, or muscle soreness after gym. It's a necessary response. Like workers coming to repair the road, but chronic inflammation smolders at the cellular level. What Ben calls chronic cell inflammation is the real issue. It causes hormone receptors on cells to become blocked, like a rusty lock. Insulin knocks, but the cell doesn't hear. Same with fat-burning hormones. Extra virgin olive oil, if the right type, contains a special polyphenol that acts quite similarly to the painkiller ibuprofen on a group of inflammatory enzymes called COX, but without the metabolic burden on the liver like regular drugs. That means with just a small amount of high-quality olive oil, you can turn down the volume of inflammatory noise in your body, restoring sensitivity to hormone locks, making it easier to burn fat and generate energy. This explains why many people just need to improve the quality of their fats. Belly fat begins to soften, you feel less bloated, and your abdomen is less distended. Another very interesting thing is that olive oil affects the brain. In your brain, you also have aging cells and mitochondria. Ben compares the process of cleaning them up to autophagy, the cell's self-eating garbage disposal mechanism. You can imagine it like the game Pac-Man. Little Pac-Men travel throughout the body looking for old, damaged, inflamed cells and mitochondria to repair or remove, making room for newer, healthier cells. Recent studies show that an olive oil diet can reduce neuroinflammation and improve brain connectivity. And in Alzheimer's disease models, it even increases the activity of pathways related to autophagy, helping clear abnormal proteins. For normal people, this often shows up as feeling lighter in the head, less brain fog, better concentration when blood sugar is stable, and the brain is fueled by both glucose and ketones from fat. It's no accident that many doctors in the Mediterranean remain sharp and have good memories even in old age. The bottle of olive oil on the dinner table every day contributed a small part. However, all these benefits are only meaningful if you use the right kind of oil. Not every bottle labeled olive oil is a metabolic medicine. Some quality surveys worldwide show that many olive oil products are adulterated with cheap seed oils, oxidized due to poor storage or over-refining. When oil goes rancid and oxidized, the resulting free radicals and byproducts actually increase inflammation, increasing the burden on the liver and potentially causing hormonal imbalances, completely opposite to the original goal. That's why Ben emphasizes using proper olive oil, not just any olive oil for the sake of it. So what is the proper standard? First, prioritize extra virgin olive oil, cold-pressed and unrefined. This is oil pressed from fresh olives, without high heat or chemical solvents, retaining maximum polyphenols and flavor. Second, if possible, choose an early harvest type. This is like eating young vegetables instead of old ones. Yield may be lower, but the active compound content is higher. Third, use single origin oil instead of blends from multiple places. This reduces the risk of being mixed with other seed oils. Finally, pay attention to the packaging. Dark glass bottles. Avoid clear plastic bottles. Light and time are the two enemies of polyphenols. so good oil is always well protected from light. Another common misconception is that olive oil is only for raw consumption, cannot be cooked, and heat destroys all its nutrients. Many people believe this and switch to soybean, sunflower, or refined canola oil for frying and stir-frying. Oils with polyunsaturated fatty acids are very prone to oxidation when heated. A study in Australia compared various oils under frying conditions. The results showed that olive oil is one of the most stable oils when heated. It produces fewer polar compounds, byproducts of oil degradation, that can be harmful if accumulated over time. It significantly outperforms seed oils like grapeseed, rice bran, and sunflower oil. The reason is that olive oil not only has a more stable fat structure, but also a protective armor of antioxidant polyphenols. That doesn't mean you should deep fry in olive oil every day, but it is safe enough for stir-frying and pan cooking at normal household temperatures, especially when you use high-quality types. Ben also shares a very interesting tip: the throat test for olive oil. Italians and Greeks have long been drinking a small shot of olive oil every morning. The method is very simple. Pour about a tablespoon of olive oil into a small glass or a spoon. Swish it in your mouth for a few seconds, then swallow. If it's real olive oil with polyphenols, you'll feel a slight burning sensation in your throat. Then a mild peppery heat, a tingling on your tongue, and some people even give a dry cough. That's a sign of oleocanthal and other polyphenols touching the mucous membrane of your throat. It's a normal reaction and a good indicator. If the oil goes down smoothly, no burn, no irritation, no special sensation, it's likely a refined, oxidized oil or simply very low in polyphenols. Of course, this is not a lab test, but it's a quick and free way to start getting familiar with good oil. At this point, there are 3 small but important things you can do right away. Take a look at the oil bottle you're currently using in the kitchen. Learn to distinguish between extra virgin cold-pressed olive oil and cheap refined oil, and dare to try a small shot of olive oil to understand what polyphenol oil feels like. Simply switching from refined seed oils that promote inflammation to extra virgin olive oil. Already a huge shift for your belly, your liver, your brain, and your daily energy. And that's the foundation before you consider using olive oil as a deliberate ritual to help reduce fat, stabilize blood sugar, and calm cortisol. If in the previous part we saw olive oil as a powerful metabolic medicine, now it's time to turn it into a specific daily habit. When to take it, how much, what to combine it with to both burn fat, calm cortisol, and keep blood sugar stable, and still fit a busy lifestyle, rushed mornings, office lunch, late dinners. One important point Ben emphasizes: the same amount of olive oil, but if taken at the wrong time or in the wrong way, the effectiveness can decrease significantly. But if used correctly, you may notice the first changes within 24 hours. Less bloated belly, clearer head, lighter body, deeper sleep. Even though fat obviously can't vanish overnight, the body is simply shifting gears from storage mode to fat burning and recovery mode. First thing in the morning, natural cortisol peaks around 6 to 8 a.m. That's how your body wakes you up, like an internal alarm clock. Problems only arise when baseline cortisol is already high due to stress, lack of sleep, late dinner, plus that morning physiological surge, making you wake up with a racing heart, bloated belly, heavy head, and irritability. Ben suggests a simple ritual. Right after waking up, while still in the overnight fasting state, drink 1 to 2 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil. You can mix it with 1 to 2 teaspoons of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. For Vietnamese people, you can think of this as an oil shot for the liver and gallbladder. Good fat stimulates the gallbladder to release bile. Lemon or apple cider vinegar helps the liver flush out waste. Bile acts like a biological soap, emulsifying fats in the next meal. Many people who use this type of shot report feeling less nauseous, more clear-headed, easier bowel movements, and less craving for sweets in the morning. Mechanistically, monounsaturated fat helps slow gastric emptying and stabilize blood sugar for the next meal. Meanwhile, cortisol spikes less because it may have received the signal that there's enough energy, so no need to panic. A common question is, does drinking olive oil break the fast? Calorically, of course it has energy, but since olive oil contains almost only fat, no sugar, no protein, so insulin is hardly stimulated. If your fasting goal is insulin control and supporting fat burning, a small amount of olive oil in the morning is usually in an acceptable gray zone. However, if you are fasting for a blood test or for specific medical reasons, you should strictly follow your doctor's instructions. In daily life, the morning olive oil shot is like a flexible, intermittent fasting approach. It helps you stay away from pastries, sweetened condensed milk, pho with sweet broth, things that truly spike insulin. After the morning ritual, Ben encourages using olive oil as an energizer for main meals during the day. Imagine the familiar office lunch plate: white rice, a little meat, some vegetables, and sweet dipping sauce. Looks safe at first glance, but it's actually a blood sugar bomb, colorless and odorless. If you replace industrially made dipping sauce, high in sugar and cheap oil, with some extra virgin olive oil, double the vegetables, especially polyphenol-rich ones like broccoli, purple cabbage, arugula, and if available, herbs like basil, perilla, and mint. Add a good protein source like fish, eggs, or beans, and you transform the meal from blood sugar spiking and fat storing to slow-release sugar and fat burning. The polyphenols in vegetables and in olive oil work synergistically, like two firefighting teams working together. One puts out the inflammation fire, the other cleans up the remnants, stabilizing blood vessels and blood sugar. The feeling after lunch is completely different too. Less drowsy at your desk, less craving for milk tea, no longer the constant urge to snack. A practical little tip: instead of drizzling olive oil right when the dish is boiling vigorously in the pan, turn off the heat. Wait a moment for the dish to stop steaming, then add the oil and mix well. This method both takes advantage of olive oil's heat tolerance and retains maximum flavor and polyphenols. Vietnamese people can immediately apply this to a plate of boiled vegetables, vegetable soup, or even a bowl of pho. Add a small spoonful of olive oil, a bit of lime, and a few herbs. The flavor will be completely different, and you'll rely less on MSG and sugar. Another interesting point in Ben's sharing is using olive oil as armor for dinner. Often the largest meal of the day for many families. Some small studies show that taking about 1 tablespoon of olive oil right before the meal can reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes by about 30% and lower insulin response by 20 to 30%. At the same time, increases satiety. The mechanism still comes back to the story. Good fats slow down the rate at which food leaves the stomach and affect gut hormones like GLP-1. This helps the body process sugar more gradually. For those with prediabetes, large waist circumference, or fatty liver, just reducing those blood sugar and insulin spikes is already a very significant step forward. Imagine evenings as ocean waves. Olive oil is like the breakwaters. Quietly gather the waves and hold them back so the shore doesn't erode every night. Ben also suggests an optional choice for those who often suffer from nighttime cortisol. That is, having trouble sleeping or often waking up at 2 to 3 a.m. with a mind as alert as if you just had coffee. A very small amount of high-quality olive oil close to bedtime can help transport tryptophan, an amino acid. This is the raw material for the body to produce serotonin and then melatonin, hormones that help with sleep and are antioxidants. When combined with a dinner not too high in carbs and not eaten too close to bedtime, this habit can help reduce late-night snacking. Sleep more deeply. Reduce waking up in the middle of the night due to blood sugar drops and compensatory cortisol increases. For Vietnamese who often eat dinner very late and then look at phones until late at night, this is both a reminder about circadian rhythms and a small tool to help the body wind down more easily. However, if you have gastroesophageal reflux disease, using olive oil close to bedtime, try a very small amount first and observe your body, or consult a doctor if you experience discomfort. At this point, the natural question is, so how much should you use per day in the end? Ben usually recommends at least about 1 tablespoon per day to get the basic benefits, and can go up to 3 to 4 tablespoons. If your body tolerates it well, and the overall diet remains balanced for Vietnamese people. The habit of fearing fat causes many people to eat very little good oil, but they inadvertently consume a lot of bad oils from fried foods, snacks, and street food. Switching fats is much more important than counting every drop of oil. Instead of trying to cut out oil completely, think in the direction of reduce fried oils, Switch to olive oil for light stir-fries or dressings, or add directly to cooked dishes. Consider the olive oil bottle as a bottle of metabolic tonic, placed in a visible spot on the stove. Of course, olive oil is not a miracle that will melt your belly fat in just one day, literally. If you are constantly sleep-deprived, always stressed, eating a lot of sugar, and drinking soft drinks. If you are sedentary, a few tablespoons of olive oil will be just a drop in a river flowing upstream. But if it goes along with other small changes, sleep earlier, cut down on sweets, walk more, eat more vegetables, and reduce cheap oils, then olive oil becomes a powerful catalyst. It helps everything run smoother, reaching the tipping point faster. Your waistline starts to soften, your weight inches down. Blood sugar and lipid tests will improve. Traditional Eastern medicine has long seen oil from healthy fatty fruits as a way to lubricate. The liver and gallbladder help blood and qi circulate, aid digestion, and reduce stagnation. Modern science, through the lens of polyphenols and monounsaturated fats, is just naming it specifically. What traditional experience has observed, the important thing is not to do everything perfectly right away. You can start very small. This week, try a dressing of olive oil with lemon in the morning 2 to 3 times. Notice how your stomach feels and your energy levels. Next week, add olive oil to your plate of boiled vegetables or salad. The week after, consider using it before dinner. Each small step is a message to your body. You are choosing to reduce inflammation, choose stability, choose to settle down, and your body, with its amazing biological memory, will gradually respond. In short, extra virgin olive oil, the right type used correctly, is not just a fancy condiment. It's a powerful tool to reduce low-grade inflammation, calm cortisol, stabilize blood sugar, and support fat burning, especially belly fat and visceral fat. At the same time, nourish the brain. You don't need to believe in overnight miracles, but you can believe in the cumulative power of small choices. Repeat it every day, like switching to a different bottle of oil, for instance. If possible, give your body a chance. Choose a reliable bottle of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. Start with a small spoonful each morning. Add it to vegetables, soup, or salad. And observe yourself for 1 to 2 weeks. The first changes may be very subtle. Your belly will be less bloated, your head less heavy, but that's a signal that your body has started to turn around. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you find this content useful, support these life lessons by subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment. Share your experience with olive oil or small changes. You are doing it for your health. Health is a long journey, and every day we can choose a better step for ourselves. See you again in the next videos on this channel.